Hey there, Orlando here with another contemplation of the jinkies that are transiting us. And it's time for the 13th jinky and the 7th jinky. And these two jinkies are very important for me because my birthday was Monday on the 3rd, so I have the 13th jinki as my life's work and the 7th jinki as my evolution. So for me, this was an important contemplation, and I felt this contemplation coming for a few months, and the messages that I got are very important for me. If some of them inspire you, that's great. This is why I do these videos. This is one of the reasons because if I get to inspire someone to I don't know make himself or herself a better life, then wow, yeah, that's great, and that really motivates me. Um, so let me tell you the summary of the contemplation that I wrote today. Because if you don't know how I work, I write a contemplation in Romanian. It's big, and it's hard to translate in writing, so it's better to translate it in video for the international Jinkies people. So I'm doing a summary of what I wrote and the conclusions. And the message, the first message, and the most important, and this message went from the first line of the contemplation until the last, it's listening. Yeah, the 13th Jinki is about listening. And um, this is a collective Jinki. This is about how we listen to each other. Yeah, of course, it is about how we listen to ourselves, but mostly how we listen to each other and how we get together or not. Because the 13th Jinki is the brotherhood of humans, of humanity. It is like gathering all of us by a fire, and this fire is an ideal, and this ideal for me is unity. Um, so nothing is beyond unity as us humans. It is the second jinki. If you know your jinkies, the second jinki is the jinki of unity, and it is the feminine aspect of the jinkies. It is the divine feminine. It is all receptive, because in I Ching the second hexagram is all feminine lines. So it is the absolute feminine. It is absolute receptivity. It is absolute flux. It is absolute divinity. So yeah, I'm using pompous words, but yeah, you can forgive me for that. um, so our power comes from unity, and to get to unity, listening is essential, because if we don't listen to each other, we get separated from each other, and we get separated from our power. Our inner power is meant to be used in with the others. Yes, our inner power is not meant to be used only for us, because it doesn't have such an impact. Yeah, because there is this aspect when two people get their geniuses together, they create something that is much larger than their two geniuses combined. Yeah, so three people, of course, more than them, and four people, and so on. And imagine like 20 people doing this, merging their inner geniuses and collaborating. and wow, their impact is huge. 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people, 1 million people doing this. Yeah, all of humanity doing this. Yeah, so when we learn to live as units, when we learn to live as communities, when we learn to live in um, by listening one to another, then our power is really potent. So, unfortunately, we haven't been educated. Most of us, we haven't been educated to listen and to listen to ourselves. We have been educated, most of us, to follow our interest and not consider other people most of the times. Um, and most of the times the parents planted the seed in us, and they didn't realize that planting the seed of discord, they got children that treated them with discord, and the parents at one point would say, why is my child or my children, why they aren't listening anymore, why they are separating themselves, why they are not calling me anymore. Yeah, it's because of this discord, this seed of discord that grows, and yeah, it's not really pleasant for anyone, because what discord does, it's getting us into separation and into suffering, where people are living together in harmony like tribes. Depression doesn't exist, because people there aren't driven by discord, and they really listen. Yeah, they listen to each other, they listen to nature, they listen. What we in the so-called civilized world forgot is this listening part, and we just put up some crazy ideals that we followed, and gotten us to more and more and more separation. Of course, if evolution doesn't stop, this doesn't mean we have gone on the wrong path. No, every path is good, but every path has its aroma, has its quality associated with it. So I've came from communist Romania, and my parents also, and um, our way of life was different than Westerners, because we lived in a very closed society, and with very strict rules. And if you told something that like making jokes of the president, you would get locked up or questioned by security. This is the name of like the secret services in Romania back then. It was securitate, security. Yeah, so they maintained the order. So this doesn't mean that Romanians had the wrong path, but a much rougher one than other countries where they had freedom, because in Romania there wasn't really freedom of speech in society, because you would get locked up, and it happened with lots of people. And it was harder. This is with paths. Yeah, the path we go on is a correct one. Every path is correct, but um, uh, we will feel it differently. So if we get to onto a path, if we walk a path that is let's say in harmony with nature, then we as humans will be more fulfilled in that experience. If we get on a path that is not in harmony with nature and the whole, then our life will be harder. And we've seen this. We've seen this depression. Yeah, people are more and more sad, are sadder, because Depression and sadness and suffering are symptoms of this dislocation. Yeah, we're not aligned with the whole. We're not aligned with nature, and so we suffer. So everything is about listening, how we listen to each other, the quality of our listening. If we can really listen with our hearts, then we can understand anyone. We don't have to do what those people say. We don't have to stay with anyone. We don't have to anything. What we can do by listening is really understand their story. Yes, because the 13th Jinki is linked with the 33rd Jinki, that is linked with the 56th Jinki, and they're about the story of our lives. And we can, if we listen, we can really understand the story of other people's lives. So we won't have anyone to blame, because we understand those people are effects of a cause or lots of causes. So discernment is like the ability to understand with precision someone's story, someone's path, someone's life path, and what really happened there. So discernment is profound listening of the suffering and the joy of a human being. Yeah. So discernment is about really understanding every aspect of what makes us tick, what makes us human. And this means understanding the better parts and the worst parts of, as how we perceive it, of course, of being human. Um, so, what people do if they are not listening is taking a role of taking the role of the victim. And of course, you know the famous triangle of victim, persecutor, and savior. Uh, People take these roles, yeah, victim, persecutor, and saviors, and then they get into games by playing these roles. They get into games that really bring them suffering. So if one is in the role of the savior and it doesn't do it by being conscious and by assuming the effects of it, then that person will really suffer. Of course, the victim suffers, and of course, the persecutor suffers. Yeah, because the persecutor doesn't persecute other people because that man or woman is happy, you know. So there is lots of suffering by playing these roles. Yeah. So then when these people play, when people play one of these roles, and mostly the victim part, they will get caught in the I want satisfaction game. Yeah, and this I want satisfaction game means to most of the times to take revenge on other people, on life, and really showing other people, yeah, they were wrong and stuff like that. And this means is acting from emotions, from powerful emotions. So the 13th Jinki is in the ring of purification with the 13th Jinki, and it's about purifying our emotions. So it's very simple. If we don't listen to ourselves and the others, and I mean really listen, we're prone to act from our powerful emotions. And one of these emotions, as an example, is like we're angry and we want to get revenge. And when we do this, we just get into more suffering. Yeah, we prolong this game that doesn't really get us anywhere. Um, and People are really lying to themselves when they act from these powerful emotions, and they are stubborn. Yeah, we stubbornness is one of the qualities of human beings. But of course, any gift, any quality of human being can be used uh, as a shadow. Yeah. So some people are really stubborn, um, and they seek like I want now. I want satisfaction now. I want revenge now. Yes, and why they do this is because they are playing in their minds the same I don't know, the same tune, the same pattern, yeah, the same thoughts, yeah, and they aren't really listening to their heart. They are just listening to their programming, and they are stubborn and in this program, and they don't really want to leave it, because if they leave their programming, they won't really know who they are. So a person that suffered a lot in his or her life, if that person doesn't leave their programming, they will suffer more and more, and they will get into this cycle of suffering, because they won't really know who they are when they aren't suffering. So they're just prolonging their suffering. This is what happens when we don't really listen to our heart. Our heart really puts us on on a better path. Yes, we can't really affect destiny. It's like written in stone, but really can affect how we play that destiny. Yeah, this is what I feel about life and destiny. We have a destiny. We have these life paths, but how we walk onto our paths, it's like walking into a desert. You can walk into a desert barefooted and with no protection. You can walk with lots of water and protection. You can walk into a car like a jeep or something that can really handle a desert. You can and also you can take the airplane. Yeah, you can get through that desert in lots of ways, and the stubborn people and the stubborn people that are you know stuck in their programming, they just take a very hard way. Yeah, and they are really suffering because of this. So listening is about staying face to face with our wounds, and I feel that we have them. Our wounds are there. We aren't really wounded in our experience. Just our experience activates our wounds. Yeah. So I think we were born with our wounds. This is what I feel Jinkis shows us. Yeah. So if we stay with our wounds, we learn to honor them and not to run from our wounds. We learn to ask for help when we can't really handle them, because we are human. We can stand. Yes, it's like if I can't lift up like 100 kilograms, I won't just break my back and say I'm going to do it because I'm a man and I'm strong. If I can't lift 100 kilograms, or if it's hard for me to lift 100 kilograms, I should ask for help. Yeah, get two or three other men, strong men, and we'll lift that 100 kilograms with ease. Yeah, this is the brotherhood. When we listen one to another, we really get the support that we need. But if we aren't listening, and if we are just running from that pattern that says I must do it alone, it's horrible, because we're going to walk on a very hard path. Yeah. So it's our choice how we fulfill our destiny. There isn't a good or bad choice. Our destiny is pre-written. Whatever we do, it's for the benefit of humanity. I really feel that we can fulfill our destiny by being good or bad. It doesn't really matter. Yes, because destiny is fulfilled by not by us, through us. Yes, and we have our role in this, but our quality of life really depends. Yes, if we live a good life, an aligned life with nature, it's different that when we live a life that isn't aligned, and we suffer. Um, okay, let me see what I can tell you, because it's lots of words written. Um, so the 13th Jinki invites us to listen before we act, to align our decision with ourself, but also with the whole. This means to listen to our heart, yes, to align our being to the whole, because when you listen to our heart, we listen to the whole through resonance. um, and this this gets us into communion with other people, because a person that listens to his or her heart is open to the heart of the other. So listening brings cohesion, brings unity, brings us to vibrant communities where depression and suffering are needed there, really, really are needed. But most people aren't ready for this, because they are just like, um, you know, they're like robots. I'm sorry to tell this, because I used to be this kind of robot, and I'm still am in some matters. I didn't left my robot state because I'm an imperfect human in my perfection. Yeah, but I can see this. Yes, I can see this more clearly. And if we just listen to our programming, we're going to self-destruct as a species. So there is a very profound scene in The Matrix, the movie, where Agent Smith was talking to Morpheus. And if you've seen the movie, you know the scene. If you haven't seen the movie, I'm just going to tell you what happened. It's not relevant to the plot, so it's just like a discussion between these characters. So this Agent Smith tells Morpheus that, hey, I was trying to classify your species, and I was having trouble because I found out that you are not mammals at all, because mammals are instinctively linked with nature, and they are in harmony with nature. So they live in communion with nature. But you humans are just multiplying and multiplying, and get to an area, and you deplete the resources, and when you deplete those resources, you get to another area, and you do this, like, and you do this. So there is only one being that does this. Yes, one creature, and that is a virus. Yeah. So people that are um, driven unconsciously are like viruses, because I live in a very crowded city, and people are coming more and more into this to this city, and it's getting more crowded, it's getting more polluted, it's yeah, it's getting the quality of people in the quality of life of people in this city, in Bucharest, where I live, it's getting worse and worse, and people are coming more and more and more and more, and they're just contributing to this to this decline of the quality of life, and they are also are declining their own quality of life most of the times, and they're not realizing this. Yeah, so we're acting like viruses. We're just destroying everything in our way, because we don't really listen. Yeah, we can't live in these vibrant communities, because we can't listen one to another. It's very hard to find people, and this is what I'm doing here in Romania, in Bucharest. I'm finding people, and I'm letting other people find me that have this ideal of these communities, because they understand the benefits, and they understand that this is a very good way to ride the wave that is coming, because there will be hard times for the people that aren't aligning themselves with the whole, because uh, we'll get into that self-destruct mode, you know, and it won't be pretty. So there will be this wave. I feel there will be this wave of I don't know how to tell it in English. Like wave of scared people, and you know when a person is scared, it's like in survival mode. So if we get together, we'll really ride this wave better, and we really can be in service of the whole if we get together. Our gifts, if if we put them together, we'll get really a better result if we just use them on our own. Um, yeah. So I really liked the this metaphor of humans as viruses and not mammals, because it shows us what this virus, because we're not like we are viruses, but we are living our lives by this virus, this programming that tells us to be in some way, and to follow these dreams, and to, you know, and we aren't really helping ourselves. And if we see this, if we listen to this, we really be more good with one another, because otherwise we'll just compete. We'll be in this competition for resources, and we'll deplete everything in our way, and we'll be more and more separated, and we'll be guided on paths that aren't really good for us. um, so listening for me is the answer. Listening, because this makes us be together, and when we are together we are really strong, and our power is and I really feel people just only want to be listened to be accepted, and when they are that, they are okay. I've seen this in my process, and by overcoming some mental issues in the past, yeah, like depression and stuff like that, and horrible things uh, that I don't wish to anyone to go through. Um, and I've seen when I was supported, I've got my body just reacted to that support, and I was okay. You know, I was in resonance with another person, and I wasn't well, of course. And when you are not well, you really need help, you really need this connection. So when I had that connection, it was wonderful, and when I lost that connection, I was back into hell zone. So I really understood that by being connected, human beings are just protecting themselves. Yeah, it's like in tribal cultures where the problems are distributed to all of them. So in tribes, if they go to hunting, there isn't one person that is responsible for hunting, like is in our culture and in companies. Like one person has this sales position and must go into an area, and in tribal cultures, lots of people go to the hunt because they understand instinctively that together they are working better, and isn't like a competition. It's just like we're going together hunting, we're going to hunt, and we're going to get back what we need to feed ourselves. Yeah, and there the problem that there isn't food is distributed to a lot of people, and solutions arise. So there isn't one tribe that just died from hunger in history. Of course, there may be exceptions when those tribes lived in very bad weather, or they ventured into the unknown, and of course, some of them perished. No, no, but when they lived in a stable environment, they couldn't die of hunger because they really supported each other. So when we support each other, we are really resonating back and forth. Yes, this support. So from that support I got when, like in 15 years ago, when I had my breakdowns and everything. Um, and from the support I'm receiving now, because of course I have also moments when I am down, and I really seen that this process with the gene keys and this inner process of mental and emotional deconditioning really got me in with people that support me and support me naturally. Why? Because I also do this and I listen more, and they listen to me, and I've seen this when I listen to another person's heart. It's like, if that person is has a bad mood, yes, and if I can listen to that person's heart, and I'm not reacting from a victim or a persecutor or a savior stand, and I'm just reacting to that heart, yes, and I'm not playing that role, why are you doing this, you're always like this, and I'm just pouring my love to that person. Yeah, that person would be like, yeah, and um, uh, connection starts from that. So this is listening to that person, listening to that person's story, listening to how that person really is, and to understand that we are all wounded. From birth we are wounded. There isn't one perfect person in this world, and we really need support. We can't go it alone. Yes, some people say, hey, you must resolve your issues by yourself. Of course, by ourselves, we assume, we integrate, and we heal. But we do this by being supported. It's very hard by doing this alone. It's not impossible. I've seen myself doing this when I was alone, but it's very hard, and it's harder, and there is an easier way, but for this we must be ready to listen to others. This is the hardest part, and because if we listen to others, we have to listen to ourselves, and when we listen to ourselves, sometimes it hurts really bad. Sometimes, because when we listen to ourselves, we get in touch with our own imperfect humanity, and we get in touch with that imperfect humanity, that beautiful imperfect humanity. If our virus is still in us, we'll say that, hey, it's wrong, I shouldn't feel like this, I shouldn't be like this, I shouldn't have this, and we really judge ourselves, and it's crazy. Yeah, and we are going crazy from that. So we really need support one from another, and to get that support we must really listen, and this is sufficient. Yes, if we listen to if we can listen to other people, we listen to ourselves, and if we listen to ourselves, we listen to other people. Yeah, so this is guidance. This is the seventh gene key, gene key's gift. Guidance that helps us to be with the right people, with the people that listen to us. Yeah. So I found out in my practice that um, I have affinities for some people. I like to work with some people better than with the others, and I have to make peace with this because I'm not perfect, of course. And when I went deeper into why am I feeling to work with these people more, and it was also always because those people really listened. So I've been working more and more with people that are listening to me, and when I see that people don't want to listen to me, I just let them go, because otherwise I'll be the abuser. And I say, hey, I know what is good for you, listen to me, because I am your friend, or I am your trainer, or I am your coach, or what else. And the seventh gene key, the programming partner of the 13th gene key, is about guidance. It is about leading, but leading with being by being very careful, and being very careful who you guide. Yeah, so I've seen that listening is all that we need. Yes, if that person is listening to me, is listening to my heart, when I work with that person, um, my heart is okay. I am in harmony with that person, with nature, with everything. So why work with people that don't listen to me? Yeah, why try to guide people that aren't really listening? Because what I'm doing, if I'm trying to guide them and they're not listening, is just pushing them away more and more. So I just leave them, and if they come to me at one point, good. If not, okay, it's their choice. Maybe they found someone who they resonate better. Life is full of people that can guide. I'm not the only one, you know. So uh, what we do in our lives is guiding ourselves to really perceive life like from a higher level of consciousness. If you know David Hawkins' map of consciousness, you know what I mean. Yeah, and when a person is down, can't perceive reality from from a higher perspective. It's like when we suffer and someone comes to us and comes to us with joy, we just feel to reject that person. How do you dare, how you dare to be like that, you know? So by rising up in this level of perception, and what this level of perception for me is to listen with our whole being, to listen more to life, because we get to like the level of love, and that level of love is like listening to the love in everything, and we have the level of joy, yeah, and the level of peace, and the level of enlightenment. And of course, in the lower part, we have the shame level, the guilt level, the suffering level, the pride level, the anger level, and so on. Yeah. So when I'm feeling down, I'm just remembering myself. Hey, I'm this level. I'm down right now. I can't trust my perception because it's clouded. So I'm just waiting for this to go away on its own. I'm not resisting. I'm not pushing it away. I'm just letting this state tell me its message, because uh, everything is a message that we receive. Like our suffering is a message that we aren't really aligned with what we want in our life, with what we need, not what we want, what we need, what we need authentically. So the seventh gene key really helps us to guide our life through our destiny, to live, to make the choices that are that honor us, that get us to unity, to that get us to support, and that get us to tools like the gene keys, who really need tools and support. Yeah, if there is a message to this contemplation, is that we really need support, we really need tools, until we don't need them, of course, but then we can be how is it of course I don't remember a word in English. It's gratitude. Yeah, and then we can be grateful to those people and those tools, but we need them until we don't. Yeah. So the virtue in the seventh gene key is like really honoring ourselves. It's like to stop trying to be, and just to be, and just to shine. Yeah, and What the seventh jinki of virtue does is supporting other people, because virtue is like the pillar of any community. Yeah. So a person that is that represents this seventh CD virtue is really a pillar of that community. It isn't a perfect person. It's a pillar of virtue, and virtues are lots. Yeah, and it's like inner qualities that we have learned in our life. We are guided into experience. The seventh Jinki's gift. We're guided through experience, and if we listened, the 13th Jinki, yeah, we've gone to integrate these virtues in us. So if people try to be virtuous, they are really just posturing and faking, and it's not really virtue. Virtue is integration, and virtue is felt, because you can't sustain a community by faking virtues. Yes, this is why we have to be sincere with one another. Like in a family, we can't support a family by being unsincere with the people there in the family, because those people will see through us at one point, and it won't be pretty for anyone. Yeah, so I think this is enough, because I think I've transmitted what I wanted. I don't want to go on in these rants of listen, 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 and yeah, it's really important to listen to one another. It's really important to really be in communion with one another. It's really important for us humans to save ourselves from extinction by learning to live with one another, because otherwise we'll get into wars that, of course, maybe we won't be extinct, but uh, it, it, it won't be pretty. We'll go on a path that is not nice for us, so we can get on another path, a path of harmony, a path of waking up from inside. As Jinkies is one of the tools that helps us individuals to do this. It's a tool, it's not absolute truth, it's just a tool. Yeah, but it's one of the good ones. It's one of the better ones for me. So may empathy and virtue guide your listening. This is my message to you. See you next time. Bye bye.